Alright guys, welcome back to the third project. So this is going to be a gradient sky. So we're going to be working from a deep red into a yellow and create a smooth transition. And then when it's dry, we're going to come back and do this wet on dry technique. So I'm going to be starting with a thick cadmium red at the top. And make sure that it's nice and wet so that it has a smooth transition. And then I'm going to add orange underneath and allow that to blend. Just run back through to keep blending that. Add some more water. And then I can see that that's drying up a bit at the top, so I'm going to add some more around the edges there. And then finally the yellow, just going to come in and create a nice sunny sunset at the bottom. Oops, that's too much water. Gonna have a bit of a puddle there. Blend that transition. Just going to smooth that back out a bit and run back up to the top there. Perfect. Okay, I'm looking for any areas that seem a bit streaky, and then I'm just going to use a small amount of water on the brush and then just go back through and smooth those out. The idea is to reach both edges of the paper so you don't end up with any gaps, and make sure that all of the piece of paper is as wet, the same amount of wet as possible. Okay, I like how that looks, so what we're going to do is let that dry, and then we're going to come back and do this wet on dry detailing here. Alright guys, now this is dried, what we're going to do is add a little wet on dry detail at the bottom for the mountains and trees. So what I'm going to use for this is a warm black colour, so I'm going to mix some brown and black together. I've switched back to a smaller size 8 round. Okay, so first step is to mix the colours, and then we will start painting the mountain top on there. So I'm just using the same technique as from the earlier video. Sketch out a rough shape first and then fill it in with the colour. Now we don't want this to be totally jet black because that won't look realistic and it will look too stark. So that's why we're mixing this brown and black. Just grab a bit more paint. And I'm going to use the tip of the brush to create some detail up there. Fill in any gaps. And then take it right down to that bottom edge. I'm going to add a bit more there for a bit of depth. Okay, and then for the trees, what we're going to do is use the tip of the brush to create a little flicking motion. So it creates this kind of loose fir tree shape. So I'm going to draw a line for the trunk first of all. It's got a bit too much paint on it. And then what we're going to do is flick out into a tree shape and then flick out and wiggle. So flick out, and then wiggle. Flick out and wiggle. Painting watercolour pines like this is just a case of going out and down and wiggling about. You actually can't really go wrong for the shape of them. Just use the very tip of the brush to keep the lines thin and alternate from one side to the other. If you find you're starting to get gaps in the middle, you can just fill those in with some cross flicks. And there you have it. I'm going to add a little smaller tree next to it. And there we go. And you can see I'm just flicking about all over the place. I'm not really thinking about it. Don't overthink these. And one more over here as well. Flick out and then wiggle along, flick out and then wiggle along. Add some more detail there. And that's it. That is your final project. We are done.